Yeah.
It was very like machine-like, very clinical, but again, when you sit there and wait up, well, if we'd gone the other way and become like these other people, would we have sustained the success that we kind of went on to achieve?
I wonder whether that is a specific creation of Sir Alex Ferguson at that time, to build a culture like that at Manchester United, where it's about achieving the success, not celebrating the success.
It's interesting. I've heard Gary Neville speak about when he was asked to sum up his experience at Manchester United in one word. He used the word relentlessness. It was that idea that once you win something, you go again.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
unrelenting.
100%. I mean, like another example, Ben Foster. He hadn't grown up at Manchester United. He got brought in from Watford, I think it was. Great lad. Played in the Carling Cup final. We won. He was man of the match. Put on a great performance. And I remember an article we'd done when he left the club and saying that I was sitting in the change room and I looked over in the corner and the Carling Cup was just sitting there on its own. And I couldn't get my head around it. They weren't celebrating. There wasn't a party. There wasn't what I anticipated seeing. And I was sitting there. I was all at the time. I can understand it now. At the time, I was frustrated. I was thinking that's why you're not a Man United player. That's why you had to go. That's why you had to leave, because you didn't understand. And you didn't buy into that early enough. That we got a game Tuesday, Champions League. We just won the Carling Cup, but what are you going to do? Celebrate and then all of a sudden put yourself at a negative starting point for the next game against, I don't know, Roma in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. No thanks. That's bigger pictures over there. Won that, thank you, in the back pocket, see you later, on to the next one.
But what intrigues me though, Rio, is that were you always like that yourself, relentless, or was that something you learned by going into a different environment?
I was obsessed with football. From a young kid, I used to travel far and wide to go and play football, to just go and train with one of my best mates, travel through like a traveller's camp, where it can be a bit tricky getting through. There's wild dogs hanging about and stuff, and people and whatnot, and over different estates to get to a certain patch of grass, which we thought this is a great place to train for a few hours and then come back. That's after playing a Sunday League game on that morning probably, but just mad stuff. Like I play football to all the time I could get, where I'd train and try and get better. I'd always do it, and it was that relentless. The word relentless probably signifies a lot of how I was when I was a kid. Like I was hard working. I was always wanted to improve, and I always wanted to be better than the next man. I'd take it as a personal insult, or my pride would take a beating, or I'd find it embarrassing that I'm not the best. I'm not the best one in my year at school. I'm not the best one in my team. The team need me more than anyone else to play to succeed.
And what preceded that though? Why did you think like that? Why did you feel you had to be the best in anything that you did?
I don't know.
Was it drummed into you?
No, my dad wasn't a football man. My dad was into kung fu.
Yeah, but you don't need to be a football man to be into being the best.
My dad wasn't. I'll tell you one thing. My dad never let me win anything as a kid.
So you
I never won.
To be
so I was striving to be successful at something. So if it's playing cards against him, or playing tennis against him, or racing him, or chasing him when he was on a bike. He used to make me run, and he'd go on a bike and say, "Chase me."
I wonder then whether you weren't actually obsessed with football. You thought you were obsessed with football. You were actually obsessed with being the best. Football was your chosen thing, yes.
Maybe, yeah, when you think of it like that.
But it was about being better than everybody around.
And I think also is proving to people I can do something, I can be good at that. Like my dad, for example, like proving to him that one day I'm going to beat you, watch. One day I'll beat you in a race.
And what happened when you did beat him?
Nothing really. It was right. I need to be faster than there's someone over there who beats me. Who I've got to beat now. It was never like I'll beat my dad and I'll rest on my laurels. It was never. There was someone else who I've got to claw my way up to. And on my estate, another thing probably as well, I was always the youngest in my group of friends. So if you come to my house now when I have a gathering or my wedding, for instance, all my mates I grew up with are there, most of them, and they're all like 3, 4, 5 years older than me. So as a young kid playing football, that's good because you're playing against people who can dominate you. The majority of them are quicker than you, so you've got to find other ways to beat people, other tricks to do things with, and to get the better of people that are physically way up the ladder than you.
But that's quite unusual for a kid to have friends that are 3 or 4 years ahead of them at school. So was that something you deliberately sought out?
No, it's just the way it was on my estate, because I loved football, and the guys that played football on my estate, who I, in my mind, thought was around my level or a bit better, were older. The guys who were my age really weren't good enough at football. I used to think, what's boring playing with these guys? I want to play with the big guys. So I'd go over, and obviously I'd made friends, and then also that just became lifetime friends. But they helped me like no other. And then after that, when I got to probably like 11, 12, 13, I'd go on to other estates and play against other kids and other adults. So we'd go and find a group of guys at a place called Burgess Park, and these guys were like adults, men who would turn up in cars, play 11-a-side games on AstroTurf, and me and my mate would just kick around on the side, hoping that one of them would see us and go, actually, them guys look like they can handle the ball. Do you want to come and play? Or someone get injured or has to go early. Guys, keep the numbers up. You come on, you on that team, you go on that team. And then these guys, they treated us like adults, kicked you, smashed you all over the place.
How did you react to that?
You couldn't react, because if you react like a baby, they're going to take you off the pitch, or you showed any type of fear, or you wasn't up to it. So again, you got to prove yourself quickly. So that environment was really, again, I always remember that's a good environment to grow up in as a young kid, because in a cage playing football against these people, there's no way out.
It's almost like you didn't realise how those early sort of formative days were equipping you for when you're standing on a football pitch winning the Champions League or the Premier League, but actually you can probably trace the journey right back to the lessons that you learned as an 8, 9, 10-year-old. And there'll be parents listening to this, or even 8, 9, 10-year-olds listening to this, not realising that the things that are happening today do have a direct impact 20 years later.
Yeah, definitely. And also like not only the good things, but also some of the bad things. Like I was 13, 14 years old, mate. 14, I had a growth spurt, as most kids do, and I became like Bambi on ice. Like no coordination. I couldn't put a ball where I'd normally put it. Just the coordination had gone completely, and that lasted probably 8 months.
Right.
And I'd gone from being someone that West Ham had gone out to go and get and become a schoolboy player for West Ham, and they Frank Lampard's dad, we want you, come on, to being a sub. And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, I'm doubting myself, am I going to make it? It's hard. But then that's the mental strength comes in, and you've got to be strong enough to build yourself up. And I was lucky, I had a couple of people around me, my district manager at the time and my family, who were like, listen, it will get better, don't worry, this happens.
But what happened with like the guys that you were describing that you would go and play with? How did they respond when you were going on and kicking around with them and
no, because I was good enough technically.
Right.
You're all right. Doesn't matter how old you are. Listen, he's good. He can play with us. It's fine. You make up the numbers. But the moment you cry off or something like that, then you get abused.
So it was the emotional control that they judged you by rather than your ability.
Yeah, if you're a baby, you're not playing with us. If you can come in here and take the kicks and take the bruises and take the being pushed to the floor and be good enough technically with the ball, then you can stay. So, and I was never the best player on my estate, never.
Right.
Weird. I was never the best player on my estate. One, I was younger than most, but there were some good players, man, on my estate.
I'm a massive, as you know, I'm a big advocate of failure and the importance of failing to move forwards. It's the only way of finding sort of where your limits are. And I think we equip the kids now. We're all parents sitting around this table. We equip our children to not fail, don't we? We make sure that things are put in their way so they always have a sort of nice, smooth path to success. But actually, that growth spurt where you turn into Bambi on ice and you suddenly couldn't play football to the level that you were, and there were doubts and question marks, that again is such a sort of formative moment. Like to fail at a young age, and then to have to find I know you had help from people, but to find your own way around that failure.
Yeah, and be patient. Kids today got no patience. They expect everything on a silver plate now. Everything's immediate, whether it's your social media, all these apps and that, everything's instant. So they expect success to be instant as well, and they expect that whatever they do, whether it's physical activity, work, it's going to be instant success, instant rewards. We reward them ourselves. We're guilty of that ourselves as well. So it's about training them and making them aware that, listen, there are going to be failures. And this is what I say to my kids all the time. You are not going to be the best all the time, and you're going to fail at some times. You're going to lose. But it's how are you going to react? You're going to cry? Crying is not a problem. It's fine. Cry. But what are you going to do then to stop that emotion coming on again and feeling that pain? And that's what I say to my boys all the time. I used to cry. I was a bad loser. I like bad losers. But now the kids are being taught not to lose. There's no winners and losers anymore. I can't get my head around it. I go into the school and ask the head teacher, well, Why is there no first, second and third? In life, there's first, second and third. There's last place in life. And they're not being brought up to actually understand that the realities in life is they're going to be in that situation at some point.
Hey guys, it's Jake here. Listen, before you go, please do me just one favour. Hit subscribe. It makes such a difference to us. The more subscribers we get, then the bigger the channel becomes. The bigger the channel becomes, the bigger the names we can attract and the more impact we can have for you. So thanks for watching and please subscribe right now.